To be specific, within the past several days, we have obtained evidence of that these potentially criminal acts were committed by Governor Eric Greitens. Evidence now in our possession would likely support a finding of probable cause that Mr. Greitens obtained an electronic donor list created by the Mission Continues for that organization's internal purposes. Mr. Greitens, however, used that list for political fundraising. He transmitted that list for political fundraising, and he did all of this without the permission of the Mission Continues.
Liz, you need to turn your computer off over there because it keeps dinging. Actually, that was my fault. I'm hanging on her neck. Sorry about that. I was recording that earlier, and I heard that in the background. But it was important for people to hear, again, what Josh Hawley said today about Eric Greitens. Greitens fired back immediately and said Hawley is better at press conferences than he is the law. I would assume that was a statement crafted by his handlers or his PR people or something.
That sounds like something the governor would say. He's pretty sharp-tongued.
Anyone who has set foot inside a Missouri courtroom knows these allegations are ridiculous. Is he alleging that Josh Hawley has never actually set foot in a Missouri courtroom? Of course he has.
It looks like they're kind of mixing the two cases together, the Confide case and the current case. Kind of conflating those together, according to that statement.
Yeah, I don't know. The Confide case, I thought he cleared him in the Confide case. Have I missed something there?
Yeah, but it's still out there. People really aren't. People are starting to believe that, or we're kind of thinking that he only cleared him because they're fellow Republicans. So it's not really a lot of credibility.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But we've got lots of people on the phones here, Chris. So why don't we get to some of these calls here real quick? Hold on here. And Tom, go ahead. You're on the radio.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, I moved to Missouri some 20 years ago, and I found out that there's a lot of good old boys in the Republican Party, and I feel that's exactly what's happening here. They're the ones that basically said Josh Hawley was going to be the candidate against Claire McCaskill. And Claire McCaskill is the luckiest politician in the world. But I would simply still say that Josh Hawley has just lost my vote by declaring that Greitens is guilty before he's even been through the process. And so I guess now the only thing to do is push for Peterson, and hopefully he can beat Hawley.
Yeah, all right, Tom, thank you for that phone call. I appreciate that. Paul, good afternoon.
Thank you for taking my call, Mark. Very briefly with the governor. Just like every American, he's due, protection, due process protections, and he's due his day in court. And if he gets exonerated, I'll accept that. If it's the opposite, I guess I'll have to accept that as well. But my primary issue is with Josh Hawley. I'm not really a member of any political party or anything like that. I'm a devotee to limited government, and I do vote for some Republicans. I vote for some Libertarians sometimes. But I did vote for Josh Hawley, number one, because of his work on behalf of Hobby Lobby, and number two, when he ran his campaign less than 2 years ago, he promised not to be a ladder-climbing politician. In other words, using certain positions to jump to higher-profile ones. And here he is doing that, breaking that campaign pledge. And then today with this, I mean, if people can't figure out that he is all in it for himself and political expedience, I can't help you. And people better hope in the state that Austin Peterson wins the primary, because there's a lot of people like me who normally don't vote Republican all the time that are going to vote Republican for Austin Peterson, and they better hope he wins, because in no way, shape, or form would I vote for Josh Hawley. And if Sissy Sprague, the Libertarian candidate, like 2 years ago, he got 6% of the vote, I would imagine it'd be a lot more if Peterson's not the nominee against Claire.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Paul, thank you for the call. Yeah, I don't know. So here's how I look at that. So the a lot of people felt that if the court, let's say this trial goes forward in May, and it doesn't get thrown out on Thursday, as some people suspected it might, and he was found guilty, then a lot of people were going to use that as the excuse to go to Jeff City, have a special session, and try to impeach him, even though the issue he would have been found guilty on, if he is, happened several years before he became governor. Right? So, no, let me finish my thought here. In this case, if he was to get charged with this other crime, it would be connected to his run for the governorship, because it would involve election laws that were violated and the theft of data from a charity to use for political purposes. That I could see people making a more direct argument for impeachment. As I read the current impeachment statute, it wouldn't apply to this other case, but it might apply to this one.
And I don't think if impeachment proceedings were coming, I don't think they were going to be based solely on this marital situation. I think that, like I said the other day, last week, I think that was to soften him up in the public's mind that he's unethical and all of that stuff. And then they were going to pursue these mission continues and all of that stuff because they're already investigating it. The committee has had their deadline extended. This was to soften him up, the marital stuff. The other stuff that's coming, that's what the impeachment charges are going to be on, I think.
Carrie, thank you for holding on. You're on the radio.
Hi there.
Hi.
I was calling to remind everybody that the last time we had a senator that was more conservative candidate in the primary, Todd Akin, a name that should not be mentioned, I remember that Karl Rove pretty much had it out for him, and that when the unfortunate wording was used, he was pretty much abandoned by the Missouri GOP, and then Karl Rove made it his mission in life to make sure that he did not win. So today's PR move reminds me of the October surprise also of James Comey. He doesn't want to be in the news. He's just doing his job. So the Josh Hawley move today seems very reminiscent of that.
Interesting. I'll pose that one to the political consultant who's in the room right now. What do you think?
Todd Akin lost his race because he lost conservative, moderate women. That's why he lost. He lost the women vote, Republican women, because of that comment.
Maybe.
He did. You look at the numbers.
Maybe,
that's why he lost, because of
Republican
Republican women.
But again, for a misstatement that was contorted out of context, he was abandoned immediately instead of anybody coming to his defense and saying, well, I mean, here's what he meant. It was awkwardly stated. Because Todd Akin
lost the Republican women's vote, and all of these people, the other politicians, didn't want to lose the Republican women's vote, so that's why they abandoned him. Because they didn't want to lose the Republican women's vote also, so they abandoned him.
Okay. All right. Jim, you're on the radio. I got about a minute.
Yeah,
less than a minute.
Josh Hawley just lost the election. It was going to be a tight election. The very people he's pissed off today, attacking his own. Why don't he attack Kim Gardner? What are they going to hold her in contempt of? Is the mayor going to ask her to resign? Here she broke all kinds of laws. This Josh Hawley is nothing but a...
All right, I got to run. Sorry, I thought he was done. I didn't mean to cut him off, but I got to run.
I thought you were censoring there.
No, I was not at all, but I got a break in about 5 seconds.
Got it. Thank you.
Chris Arps, thanks for being here, my
Appreciate
friend.
it.
Well, hold on, we got a minute? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I've been looking at the board back here thinking we were just about out of time.
What do you want to talk about?
I didn't mean to cut him off, but you know, he's right. You've heard several calls now today of people like him, like Jim, pointing out that they're angered at Josh Hawley by this action today because it's a step beyond just coming out and calling for the governor to resign for the good of the state. Now he's offering up criminal charges against him.
Yeah, and it's all political. Josh Hawley and his folks did not like the governor, attorneys attacking him while he's running for against Senate, and this was their retaliation today.
Chris Arps, thanks, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. At CArps on Twitter, and we always appreciate you. I guess we'll see you again on Friday.
Burgess Owens event Saturday.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's on the website at 971talk.com. We'll talk more about it later. Much more to come. Chet Pleben is going to join us after the top of the hour to talk about these criminal charges. We'll be back.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Naputi Wellness. Naputi Wellness